So both China and Russia are actually preparing for war. Of course, Russia's already in war, but take a look at what they're both doing. Yeah, take a look here. China expands their wartime military draft. Where, remember, a draft is basically you're drafted into war, you have to go against your will to include veterans and college students. Experts warn China is either, quote, tone deaf or messaging with announcement of conscript policy change. Beijing this week announced revisions to its conscription policy and said that should China enter a state of war, veterans and educated college students can expect to be on the top of the list to be drafted. China has positioned these changes as a necessary step to modernize the People's Liberation Army and to bolster its combat effectiveness. This comes only about 2 weeks after Chinese President Xi told his own parliament after he was reelected for a actually a completely 100% unanimous term, and a term that he wasn't even supposed to be reelected to. He was term limited, and they changed the rules for him that he is preparing for war and that they needed to up the budget for this. Literally, this is 100%. You can see this in writing here on literally headlines across the world here. And you can see this. The world should take him seriously. The world should take him seriously. So you got to kind of first think about, why is China changing their draft laws? Are they thinking about drafting thousands and thousands of men into their army? Is their army not big enough? First of all, take a look at the size of their army. You could see largest armies in the world ranked by active military personnel. China already has the largest army in the world with about 2 million active military personnel. India with the second largest at 1.45 million, and the United States third with just under 1.4 million. North Korea fourth with 1.2 million. And Russia fifth with about 830,000. And I'm not sure, this was based on last year. I'm not sure how relatively, recently that takes into account, with literally them losing troops here by the day. Now, remember that China has over 1.4 billion people in their population compared to the United States, which has about 330 million people. China has over 4 times the population of the United States. So does India. So if China starts drafting people against their will, which means if you're drafted, you physically have to go, you have no choice. Imagine how many millions of people they could draft into their army and could literally balloon the size of their army for, say, an attack against Taiwan, an invasion against Taiwan. And then don't forget here, President Biden has said multiple times U.S. forces would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this. In addition to this, Russian President Vladimir Putin just also within 48 hours of each other, Putin signs a tough new military draft law banning conscripts from fleeing Russia. So it's ironic here that both China and Russia both changed their draft laws almost at the same time, expanding their draft laws. China and Russia. Remember, China and Russia, both their presidents just met with each other and almost simultaneously come out with similar plans to expand their draft laws so that they can draft men and retirees, people that are out of the military, men over the age of they're them supposed to be in the military, and even young people, barely 18. Who knows? We also have reports of Russia going into schools, and you've seen the reports here of them sending out surveys and potentially drafting them. If you've seen those as well, looking for people to bring them into their army. To draft. So Russia's we know that Russia's more eager or desperate for people in their army more so than China. But both of them looking to draft people against their will, because if you go to draft somebody, they're not signing up voluntarily. And if especially think about Russia here, if Russia goes to draft you, you can't desert. They literally have laws against it. And imagine you trying to tell Russia you're not going. They'll literally throw you in prison probably for the rest of your life. Or imagine what they do to deserters or people who try to, leave. I mean, just imagine. You mean you gotta let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think they do to Russia, or they do in Russia to people who try to desert the army? I'll give you one or two guesses. I mean, it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty, that's for sure. So now China also joining Russia and saying, hey, we also would draft people. And this is with 2 million people in their army. This is with 2 million people in their army. What are they gearing up for? What is Russia and China gearing up for? And remember that China is watching what happens in Ukraine here. We've even seen Kevin McCarthy here just in the last few days, Republican Speaker of the House here, saying that China is watching like a hawk what happens in Ukraine. And that what happens in Ukraine is going to send a message to China on what the world will tolerate, and what the US will tolerate, what Europe will tolerate, and what the world will tolerate. And if Putin comes out as a winner, this sends a message on what China can and cannot do to take over Taiwan. Are other countries allowed to just go in and take over other countries at will? Will the world tolerate it? Can they do it? And now remember, China's got over 1.4 billion people. That's a lot of people. Over 4 times the population of the US. And they got nukes. Russia has nukes. North Korea has nukes. And this is just dangerous, dangerous territory for the entire world. I mean, the doomsday clock is literally the closest it has ever been. And honestly, we don't want to have a World War III type of situation with any of these countries. It's just not something we want to do. A nuclear war with anybody is just, it's a catastrophe for the entire world. So we need to just try to find a way to have peace and try to navigate these situations. Nobody wants to have their countries invaded or taken over, World War III or anything like this. But when you're dealing with trying to tell another country what to do and what not to do, I mean, look at like trying to tell Russia what to do. I mean, even China tried to propose a peace plan to Putin, and Putin literally laughed at him, right? So, and right now, Putin's peace plan for Ukraine is, okay, give us, 15% of your country, tens of thousands of miles. We're just going to take over that land. We want all your resources. We want all these people. We want to be able to tax them. We want to be able to take over their land. It's now ours. So basically, yeah, give us all your land, and then we can have peace. So it's just like, yeah, right. So this is kind of the problem here with dealing with other countries that have complete different ideas of taking over other countries. And China could be doing the same thing. North Korea could be doing the same thing. This is the problem. I mean, North Korea and South Korea are literally mortal enemies. Literally mortal enemies. Tensions are high. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Yeah, it seems like every day here is something new. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. I will keep you up to date here. Make sure to click the bell icon after you subscribe, and thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Here's some videos you should watch next. Here's a bill President Biden just signed that is going to have an impact on millions of Americans' benefits. And here's a U.S. Congresswoman saying that China is here for war in a must-see video. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.